First and foremost, giving honor and praise to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov. Giving double honors to 7130 South Chicago that taught me this truth. Giving double honors to all the brothers and sisters that the Creator has awoken in these last days. With that being said, peace and shalom. With the Hebrew Israelites coming in week and week out to preach the destruction and the downfall of the kingdom, which is the Euro-Gentile world power system, aka the Babylonian mystery system. And that, it behooves the so-called black man to return back to who he is from a nationalistic standpoint of view. And that the system that we're living in today, which is America, aka Babylon the Great, is going to be destroyed, aka being quote unquote by nuclear warfare, right? And you know what I'm saying? Most people that walk the earth today don't even understand what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So it's the responsibility of his elect in these last days to inform the people about the events that's taking place on the world stage. And one of the events that's taking place on the world stage is, the people that's tuned in to a lot of the stuff that's on the news. Like when we look at the news and things of this nature, CNN, Fox News, or any of these other podcasters that's on the scene, most of these people is talking about quote unquote nuclear war or World War III. See? Are we gonna go into World War III, or it's gonna be a nuclear war? And see, a lot of them, they'll make statements, well, if I was in office, X, Y, and Z will be happening and things of this nature. But in actuality, the judgment is already set. Because not only are they in what you would call the Third World War already, but eventually nuclear bombs are gonna hit this country. And not just this country, they're gonna hit, the war that happened maybe about 70 years ago or something like that. I think it was like the World War I and World War II that took place in the 30s. And I think it was around the 30s or the 20s. Like this same war, that war that took place that was a war that took place against Caucasians, right? And there was millions of people that got killed in that war. And there was millions of people that got hurt in the war too. You had millions of people that came back from the war and they was affected by it. And not just that war, you had another war that was catastrophic in its own breath too, which was quote unquote the Vietnam War. You know what I'm saying? Like the Vietnam War, you got a lot of people that came back from the war. They still got effects from the war even to this day. You got some people, they was affected by quote unquote Agent Orange, right? You had a lot of people that was affected psychologically, right? They can't hold a job. Some of these people are homeless because of the effects of the war. And America always paint the picture, or the Europeans just as well, because America didn't just invade Vietnam by themselves. They had help, see. And one of the people that was helping them was what you would call the EU, see. And these are basically the nations that came together with a common decree is to try to rule over the masses of the people. So they didn't come into the situation themselves. They came into the situation with other nations, because prior to America invading Vietnam, quote unquote, I think the French was controlling the situation. You know what I'm saying? So you had the Vietnamese people, they was under the rulership of, quote unquote, a European nation, which is the French. And one of the documentaries that you can go check out is, quote unquote, what's this called? Time Life, talking about the Vietnam War. Actually, I got to go back and watch that, because it was a real good documentary. And it showed the disrespect that America and these other countries had for these other people that basically they deem as what you would call, they look at other nations that is not on the same level as them as peasants. You know what I'm saying? So the French, I think it was the French, they used their own people to control the Vietnamese people. And then later on, America stepped in because, you know, the Vietnamese people, they started to rebel against French occupation, right? And then later on, America came in, but when she came in as, quote unquote, a helper of the Vietnamese people. But later on, she started to do what? She too started to fight against the Vietnamese people, right? And then, you know, that's where you get that whole concept called what you would call guerrilla warfare, because the Vietnamese people, they was defeating the Americans at first, because the Americans is over there, they're fighting the things of this nature. But you know, the Vietnamese people, they was underground, and they used what you would call a guerrilla war tactic to be able to like counterattack what the Americans was doing, right? So later on, one of the things that the Americans was doing, they started to put Agent Orange on the crops and things of this nature, because they was like, look, one of the ways that we can starve them out is to kill all their crops. So the Agent Orange not only killed the crops of the Vietnamese people, it put poison on them too. See, and not only that, their own people was poisoned by it. That's why a lot of them come back to the country and they, quote unquote, they still affected by the chemicals or the radiation that was dispersed on the Vietnamese people. So when we're talking about this, we're talking about a pattern in the history of the so-called white race, or the nations of the Europeans, how they came amongst the people, and they presented themselves as God-fearing and, you know, loving people, but in reality, they was the devil. See, and they used many tactics to destroy the people that resist them. So when we're looking at this, we see the judgment of the Creator that's happening to America and a lot of these different European nations. When we look at Russia coming against America, what's that? Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, or what you would call the BRICS nations, right? We see the building of a nation of people that the Creator has rose up to do what? To come against America and the EU, see? And also we see the judgment that's taking place, quote unquote, by what? By the destruction of the dollar, or the currency of the American system, see? we see a lot of these different countries, and not just the nations that I named that basically came together, but you got other nations. It's estimated that they got like 25 nations that have basically signed up to be a part of the BRICS, right? So this is war that's ratcheting up. And see, another thing too that you know that we're in war, right, is the fact that Iran is a part of that situation also. And I can remember around 2015 when we used to do Bible class, and every time you would look on the news, you know, you would see the Israeli government. They will assassinate some of the Iranian scientists because they didn't want them to be able to create what you would call atomic energy, to deal with atomic energy to make a nuclear bomb, see? So, and now, Iran has just fired missiles and things of this nature at the state of Israel. So when we're talking about war, and we're talking about all these things, the nations around us, see, we already at war. See, we already at war. It's just that we're in what you would call the middle stages of World War III. And you know World War III is going to be catastrophic. It's because not only millions of people is going to be destroyed, you're going to have billions of people that's going to be destroyed. So the first scripture that I'm going to try to find is, I think it's the 7th chapter of the book of Psalms, right? Because it talks about the instruments of war that's basically being formed. One second. It's basically talking about the instruments of war that's being formed, right, for the concept of destruction, right? Because see, this what shows you that these people is no good, is because you could do a lot of things with atomic energy. You could do good things with that, right? But instead of you doing good things with it, you create something, and what you're doing is you're extorting the other country for their natural resources. If you don't do this, X, Y, and Z, then we're going to use this weapon on you. See? That's extortion. And that's the same thing like when you're in prison, you green, you don't really know what's going on. Guy coming in, extort you, right? But it's up to you as the person that being extorted. Either you're going to continue to let this person extort you, or you're going to raise up and you're going to start fighting against the people that's extorting you. And that's what's going on with these countries. That's why you got the BRICS, right? That's why you got Brazil. That's why you got Russia. That's why you got India. You got China, and you got South Africa. It's because these people, they have been extorted by the European common market system for years, you know what I'm saying? And one of the reasons why the European common market system was created in the first place is to come against, I think it was Germany at the time, right? But the reason why they come together is not just for Germany per se, but also to come against anybody that pose a threat of their world domination. Because you gotta look at the white man as a globalist. See, he practiced imperialism. See, his thing is to put his foot on people's neck, right? Beat them down, things of this nature, right? And if you don't listen to me, I'm gonna do this to you. See, that's the mentality of the so-called white man, right? So let me look for the scripture real quick. I had dropped my stuff. We look for this scripture. And see, you know who's gonna be caught up in the middle of this thing? It's gonna be us. See, we already involved in it, whether we like it or not. See, we in this thing. When these bombs start to hit this country, well, first of all, the bombs can't even hit the country until the Creator remove His people out of harm's way, right? There's not going to be no destruction that's going to come on this soil until the Creator has removed His elect out the way. But once the nation of Israel, according to Revelation, the 7th chapter, soon as He remove us out the way, then it's going to be what? It's going to be open season. It's because we're the oil and we're the natural resources that's basically holding up the system. See, the system couldn't be nothing if it weren't for the so-called black man. See, our contribution to this country via slavery is the reason why the country is in the situation that it's in. See, but see, this system is really a prison to us, right? So the Creator built the prison for us, and we've been living here, right, ever since around, I'm gonna say around 16, 19. But let me hit you with something. Before the establishment of what you would call America, we was already coming over here. But see, the destruction of the American system or the European common market system is basically the releasing of the so-called Negro out of prison, right? Because America, the European common market system, right? These are prisons to the so-called black man. Because when we came into prison, right, via slavery, when you go to prison, a lot of times they say, I don't want your name, I want your number that's on your shirt, right? Before they get your name, they ask you for your number on your shirt. And you don't remember that number, they gonna beat your head in. So my number is 6, they ask your number, you tell them your number, and then they go to the next person. So what is that today? See? The changing of your name. See? You're not who you used to be. Now you so-and-so such and such. You're a number now. And the number that we have today is what? Our slave names. And see, that's what happened with Toby. When the slave master wanted to change his name, he kept saying he was Kunta Kinte. He asked him for his number again. He said he Kunta Kinte. So he hit that back about 10, 20 times. Then after a while, he started saying his name, right? Because the strike of the belt eventually, it can kill you, right? So why am I saying this? I'm saying this is because the system that we're living in today is a prison. See, it's a prison to us. And as long as the system is still on the scene, the so-called black man is going to be in prison. That's facts, right? So when we're looking at wars and rumors of wars, this is the Creator doing what? Unlocking the key so that we can come out. See? So a lot of this stuff that's taking place, these are what you would call wars and rumors of wars, but they're not going to take place until the Creator removes His people out of harm's way. See? He got to remove us out of harm's way. So if you're caught over here or any part of the countries where nuclear weapons is formed at, you're gonna be destroyed, right? So let me try to find this scripture, coming out of our history, right? We're gonna go into the book of Psalms, right? The book of Psalms. So I talk to people, and most people, they 1 second, okay. Most people, they quote unquote, they in grave fear. When you look at the Caucasians and things of this nature, they're in grave fear over this situation. But in actuality, this is a glorious time for us. You know what I'm saying? It's because this is the releasing of the so-called Negro out of prison. So we as a people, we shouldn't be mad. But see, you see that? That's the stupidity of our people. See, because our people have been turned into what you would call a laughing stock of the whole world. You see, he walking by and he throwing up all these different signs and stuff like that. Who cares about that? See, that ain't nothing. That's just you being an idiot. But see, this is the mentality of the masses. See, that's what the masses do. See, the masses think everything a joke. Everything is fun and games. You know what I'm saying? But see, when COVID-19 happened, right? When the COVID scare happened, niggas like that, he was in the house somewhere. He was scared to come outside. He had a mask on his face. And when the white man told him to take the mask off, he kept putting it on his face. He got it off now, but what I'm saying is that our people don't really know. See, they snap in place once a tragedy or a chaotic situation take place. Then we start to pay attention to what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Then we start doing that. But it's a nice day. I came out here earlier. It was a little windy out, but it's a nice day. So, you got a lot of people, they outside, they chilling, they walking down the street, they doing what they doing. See, they not paying attention to what's going on, But the Creator's about to send something on the scene that's going to put the people in grave fear. You know what I'm saying? And the grave fear that we talking about is destruction. See, chaos, turmoil in the country. And see, why this man sitting up here playing around, the dollar that we love, that we on the cell phone with, we got brick stacks of money, this dollar that we have, the nations around the world, they dumping the dollar now. So these are some of the plagues that's happening to the country, right? These some of the plagues that's happening to the country. They dumping the dollar. They coming against America. See, these nations, they were scared of, let's get into it because I could talk all day. This is the 7th chapter of the book of Psalms. And it says, he hath also prepared for him the instrument of death. He ordained his arrows against the persecutors, right? So, what is the instrument of death in this time? The instrument of death that's being created and the arrows that's going to be shot off at the persecutors, right? Is nuclear bombs. See, it's these different bombs that's being shot off in the air. Because, they dealing with regular bombs and things of this nature. Like we look on the news at over there in Ukraine, they got bombs, right? And the bombs, they tear down buildings and things of this nature. But see, the bomb the instrument of death that's going to come to the countries eventually is what? Nuclear bombs, man. And when those bombs hit, man, I'm reading a book. It's called Nuclear War by Annie Jacobson. And Annie Jacobson talks about in the book how catastrophic nuclear warfare in this country is going to be. She's estimating that when America and Russia and the other countries shoot their nuclear weapons off at each other, because that's what they're going to do, it's going to be between 5 or 6 billion people that's going to die on this planet. And she goes into details, right, about how this situation is going to look, right? Matter of fact, I got the book. Let's look at the book real quick. Alright, so this is the book right here, right? This book is called Nuclear War by Annie Jacobson, right? So, in the book, I'm gonna just read one page or whatever. I ain't gonna read too much, maybe 2. In the book that's called Nuclear War by Annie Jacobson, it says this is the prologue of the book. I ain't even got to the first chapter. It says a 1 megaton thermonuclear weapon that nation begins with a flash of light and heat so tremendous it is impossible for the human mind to comprehend, right? So when you go into that movie called Oppenheimer, when they was testing the bomb, because they was at war with Germany, right? They was testing this bomb. Now in the movie, they try to make it seem like this man, Oppenheimer, that he had he was having visions and all this type of stuff. A lot of times in order for you to watch the movie, they gotta put a spin on, they gotta spin you a little bit, right? And that, he was so conflicted when he made this bomb and things of this nature. If you were so conflicted with making a bomb, then why did you make it? The reason why you made it is because during his time, he was considered what you would call a rich individual, see? And a lot of them, I think that Oppenheimer was a Jew. So they was being exterminated by Germany. And one day I'm gonna do some history on that, because a lot of things that they talking about, the Nazis and stuff, a lot of that is propaganda, you know what I'm saying? But when they made the weapon, I think it was a hydrogen bomb or whatever it was, they had to test it first. They tested this weapon. And in the movie, they show like a flash of light, and this weapon at its beginning stages, it basically sent debris and stuff like that in the area where they was testing it at, right? Because they had to get out of the way of this thing, right? But it was at its baby form, right? So when they saw that the test was a success, they end up increasing the dosage of what you would call the energy that they had come upon, right? Because Oppenheimer was a student up under Albert Einstein, you see? But they try to make it seem like they didn't really want to make the bomb, and they may have didn't want to make it. But they saw how powerful Germany was. They couldn't defeat Germany on the ground like they was doing, like they was trying to do. Because not only the Germans was being killed, you had a lot of Americans, they was being killed. Like I said, that war, World War I and World War II, it was over damn near 2 million people that got killed in that war. It was 1 million some people that got hurt in that war, right? So They came together because they was losing the war in Germany. They came together. They made this bomb that was catastrophic, and they unleashed that bomb. See, and see, they did the same thing with Hiroshima, Nagasaki. See, so in the book it says our megaton thermonuclear weapon detonation begins with a flash of light, and it says, and heat so tremendous it is impossible for the human mind to comprehend. It says 180 million degrees Fahrenheit is a 4 or 5 times hotter than the temperature that occurs at the center of the Earth's sun. So this thing is very hot, man. This is the heat from the thing. Once it detonates, once it gets to the place where it's detonating at, right? So it says in the first fraction of the milliseconds after its thermonuclear bomb strikes the Pentagon. So they just giving a synopsis. You know, they just giving example if the bomb is gonna hit the Pentagon, right? So it says in the first fraction of the millisecond after the thermonuclear bomb strikes the Pentagon outside of Washington, D.C., there is a light, soft X-ray light with a very short wavelength. The light superheats the surrounding air of millions of degrees, creating a massive fireball that expands at millions of miles per second. Within a few seconds, this fireball increases to a diameter of a little more than a mile, 5,700 feet across. Its light and heat so intense that the concrete surface explodes. Metal objects melt or evaporate, stone shatters, human instantly convert into what? Combustible carbon. So what is combustible carbon? That's ash. So this thing, once it hit this country, if a bomb hit this country, a nuclear bomb hit this country, it's going to be so powerful that it's going to start to suck up all of the trees and stuff like that. And what, you know, when they say the fire get more intense as it starts to do what? Consume other things, right? They teach you that in basic when you're dealing with fire and stuff like that. Fire is consumed when it starts to spread. Once it is in the when it's in a place where it can be consumed by, it consumes other stuff. So this thing is going to consume the trees and things of this nature. So as it continues to consume, it's going to be a fireball. And the heat from it is around 150, probably almost 180 degrees. And when it starts to come across people, it's going to turn people into what? It's going to turn them into ash. See? So it says, the 5-story, 5-sided structure of the Pentagon, everything inside is 6.5 million square feet of office space, explode into superheated dust from the initial flash of light and heat. All walls shattered with the near simultaneous arrival of the shock wave. 27,000 employees perishing instantly. But see, it's only about it's about 30, maybe 50 million of us in America, but if you shoot these bombs and things of this nature in different countries, it's gonna do the same thing. Because not just Russia is gonna shoot her bombs, but America is gonna shoot her bombs. See? This how destructive this thing is gonna be. So if it's gonna do this in this country, what you think that it's gonna do in these other countries? It says not a single thing in the fireball remains, right? 150, 180 degrees, it's gonna cook everything. Like I say, if it come across you, you're gonna be ashes. Ground zero is zero, traveling at the speed of light. The radiating heat from the fireball ignites everything flammable within the line of the sight, several miles out in every direction. Curtains, papers, books, woods, fences, people, clothing, dry leaves explode into flames and become kindling for a great firestorm that began to consume a 100 or more square mile area that prior to this flash of light was the beating heart of America's governance and home to some 6 million people, right? So she's estimating that around 6 million people is going to die from this situation, because this thing is not just going to be shot in America, brothers and sisters. See, America is going to be evaporated. See, this thing is going to be shot. So you're going to have people like Russia and the United States is going to shoot their missiles at each other. They already doing this. But what they doing is, they doing it through proxy wars. But now Russia is starting to step out the shadows, because Russia is over there fighting against the Ukrainians, which the war that they're fighting, America is winning the Russians is winning the war, but the Americans is trying to make it seem like the Ukrainians is winning. No, they losing their lives over there, because America was thinking that if they put sanctions on Russia and they spend billions of dollars to fight against her, that eventually she's gonna break. But she's not breaking. It's because another way of putting sanctions on people is that Russia is not allowed to use their natural resources with other countries. So if you're not allowed to use your natural resources, like your oil or whatever whatever goods that they have, right, through trade, then eventually the fire that Russia is setting off is going to basically be consumed, right? It's going to be put out, but that's not happening. It's because the white man, the American system, is the modern day Roman Empire of today. And Russia, China, right, and these countries that has aligned themselves with Russia, they're starting to come against America, right? So when we go back, let's look at this. Let's turn to the 39th chapter of the book of Ezekiel. This is the 38th chapter of the book of Ezekiel. It says, "And the word of Yah came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against God, the land of Magog." See, and who is God of today? That's Russia. See, but Russia don't go by its biblical. It don't go by its biblical name anymore. What is the biblical name for Iran? The biblical name for Iran today is who? Persia. See? The biblical name for Iran is Persia. So the biblical name for Russia is Gog. And it says in the land of Magog. What is that? That's over there in Russia. See? So it says, "Son of man, set thy face against God, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him." Do you know that the Tubal River is over there in Russia? Because, you know, some people are trying to say, "Oh man, you know, that's not Russia. God in the Bible, in the land of Magog," I think some people say that's Turkey. You know what I'm saying? But no, that's not Turkey. That's Russia. See? So it says, "And say, Thus saith Yah, thy Elohim, behold, I am against thee, O God, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal." And it says, "And I will turn thee back and put hooks in thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thy armies, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even in great company, with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords." So they give you a description of some of the countries that's going to align ourselves with God, right? So it says Persia, which is Iran today, right? Iran is Persia. Ethiopia. Ethiopia is just a Greek word of what you would call burnt-faced people, dark-skinned people. So who is a part of the BRICS is South Africa. And you got other black nations that is coming against the situation just as well. See? We got other black nations that has aligned themselves with Russia and China. So when it's talking about Ethiopia and things of this nature, it's talking about what? The black nations that's on the scene. So it says, "And Libya with them, all of them with shields and helmets," right? And you know, Libya was taken down, they assassinated Muammar Gaddafi because Muammar Gaddafi was trying to do the same thing that Russia and China was doing. But the reason why Muammar Gaddafi ended up getting snatched up is because he gave up his weapons of mass destruction. See? He disarmed himself. So what he was trying to do was, he was trying to align a lot of the African countries around Africa, right? And trying to set up what you would call a central banking system. And as a result of that, he got killed. And see, he was going to use, according to them, $65 billion of raw gold. But because he wasn't aligned with somebody, see, he wasn't with, it's just like I say, you go back to prison, you know, if you up in there selling goods and stuff like that, you got to kind of be plugged with certain people, or you got to have a reputation. You know what I'm saying? So if you're a person that don't have a reputation as a head buster, or you don't have the backing of other people in prison, you set up something or you doing things, you're gonna be fooled. See? So this is what happened with Muammar Gaddafi. he became food to the global elites. See, the global elites started to come against him, and they eventually took him off the scene. See, so when it's talking like this, what is the Creator saying? The Creator is saying in Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, is that the Creator is behind Russia to come as a tidal wave against these countries. And Russia is the country that's going to come against America. It's already taking place, right? So that's why I say, see, it behooves a lot of the people to understand the events that's taking place on the world stage, because see, like I just read up out of that book called Nuclear War, which is a phenomenal book. Any book I get, Joe, it's gonna be off the chain, right? Because you gotta read these books. You gotta read history. If you don't read history, how can you know prophecy? Because prophecy is history. You can't understand the Bible in its totality if you're not a student of history. You know, if you're a type of person that you may have problems reading books, you know, like, because reading books takes a lot of patience and stuff like that, you can start out by reading 1 or 2 pages a day. See, you start to increase yourself, because it's, slow reading is better than fast reading, because when you slow read, you start to take notes and you start to research certain things. So it's probably going to take me almost 8 months to really read this book, because not that I can't read it within a couple of months, but you gotta digest what you're reading, right? So how you gonna be able to go into the Bible and to bring out the truth of the Bible if you don't really understand quote unquote prophecy? Because prophecy is history. Don't let nobody tell you that prophecy is not history. If you're not a history person, you're not fully gonna understand what prophecy is. So these billions of people that's going to be consumed off the face of this planet, these are the people that got what? The mark of the beast, y'all. And the mark of the beast is the philosophy and teaching of what? The Babylonian mystery system that was established after the flood, brothers and sisters. Right? So it says, and the word of Yah came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against God, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him. And say, Thus saith Yah, Behold, I am against thee, O God, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. I will turn thee back and put hooks in thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thy armies, horses, and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even in great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords, right? Because at some point the Creator was, you know, the Creator wasn't messing with Russia like that. You know what I'm saying? She wasn't messing with Gog like that. But now the Creator is unleashing Gog. And she's going to unleash God on who? On the Babylonian mystery system of today, which is America. Because America is the last final vestige of the Roman Empire, brothers and sisters. That's who America is. So we don't have to look at the Roman Empire that was established 1,000 years ago, because Europe was the old Roman Empire. See, we don't have to look at that anymore, right? The Roman Empire, we in Rome. See, we still in Rome, because America, she's not a toe, right? She's not of the 10 toes, but she's an extension of the Roman Empire. Well, why do you say that, Yahshua? It's because, see, when George Washington and all those people came over here, see, all these different nations, the state of Canada, America, all these Europeans, what they were called the Pilgrims. When they came over here, they came from where? They came from Europe, see? They came from Europe. George Washington was an Englishman. See? You had the English, you had the Portuguese, you had the French, you had the Germans, you had the Belgians, you had all these people. See, they came over here. And then they started to do what? They started to consume the people, the indigenous people, off of their land. This is why the Creator is coming against these folks, man. Because America is a part of the beast system, right? So let's look at this. The 13th chapter of the book of Revelation, starting at the 11th verse. It says, "And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon." Now, who is that in the Bible? That's America, brothers and sisters, because America is an extension of the Roman Empire. See, like I said before, you had the English coming over here, you had the French, you had all these different nations, right? And how is she speaking like a lamb, but she a dragon? What is she? How is she speaking as a lamb? It's because she came over here using the black man's history, right? And quoting and saying that what? That she's a follower of the nation of Israel. See? Because when you start talking, you know, they want to put this name in the Bible, Jesus Christ. This is how they was coming. They came with the religion of Christianity, brothers and sisters. That's how she was coming. She was coming talking about Jesus died for the whole world and, you know, love and kindness and all this type of stuff. But in actuality, she was a devil, because I always bring the prison story up, right? I've never been to prison before, but I'm in prison, right? If that makes sense. When you're in jail, they got this term called landing you up, right? So a person, if you just come into jail, let's say you're a person that just come to jail. Or you could be a person that was in jail, right, for a minute. A person that befriend you. And you know, he'll try to make it seem like he got your best interest at hand, right? And then y'all cool. He may break bread with you. How you eating and stuff like that. You eating all the good food with them. Next thing you know, because what he's doing is he's trying to bring down your defense system. Because see, I don't care if you knew. When you come to jail, you already in fear to a certain extent, right? So you gotta watch everybody. See, I don't care if your mama, you gotta watch her, you know. So the whole concept of lining a person up is to try to do what? To bring down their defenses, right? So that you can make a strike. And that's what the Pilgrims did to the Native Americans, the so-called Native Americans, right? These different native tribes that was in the country. That's why we get the whole concept of what you would call Thanksgiving, where they tell the story that the Pilgrims and you know that the Pilgrims and the Indians sat down and they had a big old feast and you know they started to break bread with each other and things of this nature. Because see, the Europeans, they needed the Indians because see, they couldn't survive in the winter. You know, they couldn't survive. So